Yo, Slackers, what's good? Welcome back to episode 264 of Say Like a Champ podcast. It's your boy Strizzy. And for those of you who don't know, I'm running solo today. You know what I'm saying? My brother, my podcast partner, all that fun stuff. He's taking care of some family business, you know what I'm saying? So I'm rolling solo today, but I see a couple people, popping up. See Pops in there, Stephanie Washington. I appreciate y'all for coming through still. And just talking sports, you know what I'm saying, with your boys. So the holding it down, you know what I'm saying, for the Slack crew, you know, so you know how we do it. But you know, definitely want to let you guys know, say appreciate it for coming through, still sticking with me. A lot of events happened this week, especially with NFL for NFL Week 2. And then definitely just kind of wanted to touch base with y'all and see how you're doing, man. Yes, Steph, I see this, prayers up for Marcus. Definitely going through the absolute most, and all of our thoughts and prayers and condolences are going out to both himself and his siblings. They're definitely going through quite a bit, man. And if you can find in your hearts to check in upon him, I know he'll appreciate it. I'll appreciate it. But whenever he's ready to come back and get back with us, he's always welcome, more than welcome, man. So brother for life, and our prayers go out to our boy, super producer, man, Marcus, man. But with that being said, check in. Let me know how you guys are feeling on this beautiful week, this beautiful Tuesday night. But let's get into the reason, why we're here. Let's talk about some NFL talk.
What's up next?
Oh, let's check it out, man, real quick.
Now tune to NFL Talk.
Let's get it.
Awesome, man. I still love that thing. So first and foremost, let's get into the contenders and pretenders. So we got a couple of teams at 2-0 and a couple of teams at 0-2. Let's start off with let's see if the 2-0 teams are actually real contenders. We got the Vikings, the Chiefs, Steelers, Saints, Texans, Chargers, Bucks, Seahawks, and the Bills all sitting at 2-0. Wanted to see how you guys felt about some of these teams so far. Which one of these teams are you guys thinking are contenders or pretenders? I'll start off by saying I think, as usual, Bills are contenders. I think Josh Allen is doing a phenomenal job with keeping that offense rolling, even though he lost Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs last year. So considering the way they've looked offensively, I think they're, as always, as long as he's behind center and healthy, I think they're always going to be a team. Chiefs, obviously, they're on that road to a three-peat. Offense is looking good. They have a ton of different weapons. They have so many weapons right now. I think that it's almost making Patrick Mahomes look, I don't want to say mediocre, but mediocre. You know what I'm saying? Like he's playing very, very well, but they have so many guys who can make plays at pretty much every position on offense and both defense. He's not having to do everything that we're used to seeing him do. Pops, I was just getting ready to get into that. Real talk, I think the Saints are also contenders. I think that offense right now is flying extremely high. You beat the Panthers that bad in week 1, and no one's really batting an eyelash. I think a real test was this week against your boys, Pops, the Cowboys, and not just beating them is one thing, but I think in the way they beat them is saying another. Hung up another 44 points on a team who had one of the top defenses last year, and honestly, I think still have one of the top defenses this year too. So that's some scary stuff. Great week so far. All our family teams lost. I'm telling you, Cowboys, Rams, and 49ers. If you're a betting person, sports betting person like myself, Vegas definitely won this weekend. And a lot of teams lost this weekend. The Eagles lost last second to the Falcons. You know what I'm saying? Who else lost? Cowboys obviously lost. 49ers lost, like you had mentioned. Chiefs almost lost. What's up, Ant? How you doing, fam? See you popping up. Rolling solo today, guys, if you haven't heard, A-Dub is taking care of some family business today. So rolling solo. So I appreciate all the comments you guys can bring in. But yeah, ton of upsets this weekend, if you call them upsets. Steelers, I think that's big for them 2-0. I think Justin Fields is not doing anything spectacular, but I know he's doing definitely enough to win. And he's also not losing games. So hats off to him. And on the other side of that, you look at a team like the Bears, who are struggling. They got that win versus the versus the Titans in week 1, but they are definitely struggling. And yeah, seeing that Chiefs make me sweat every game would be nice to get a blowout. You know what's funny, Ant, when we look at, I talked about sports betting and things of that nature. You look at the Chiefs spread. I think almost in the entirety of Patrick Mahomes' tenure with the Chiefs, they don't cover a lot of their spreads. So a lot of their spreads are always pretty high because they're usually the better team that they're playing against. I think the spread this time was 5.5 points or 6.5 points, and they didn't cover that either. So usually I'll bet them to win money line, you know what I'm saying, but not so much against the spread. What's up, A-Dub? Appreciate you coming through, fam. Appreciate you coming through. We love you. We miss you. Can't wait to see you back next week. Falcons D is definitely coming on, Pops. I'm surprised. I'm actually more surprised at the Eagles. You know, like number one, Saquon catches that pass. It's a touchdown pass. So, you know, shame on him. I feel like that loss really lies heavily on him. But he only had like 40 seconds left to stay in that game. And you got to play your regular defense. Like going into a zone when all they need is 3 to beat you is shameful. You know what I'm saying? Like those passes were entirely way too open, and allowing them to go downfield like that and beat you that way is shameful. And I feel like the Eagles are a little too good for that. But hats off to oh man, I'm trying to Kirk Cousins. You know what I'm saying? We make fun of Kirk Cousins all the time for not being able to play on Monday nights or primetime games, and boy came through. You know what I'm saying? Boy came through. I feel like Andy gets conservative. Yeah, I appreciate that. I feel that. Here we go. What's up, Earth? I see you, Earth. Pops and Chiefs are injury ridden right now. They will be dominant when it counts. You exactly. Like get the injuries out at the beginning of the year. The best thing about that offense is you can plug almost any running back into that system and do very well. They've got a strong offensive line. In my opinion, the best coach in the league, so they'll be perfectly fine. Going off to the pretenders of the league, but some teams that are 0-2. I think some teams that are 0-2 that I want to see which of those teams we're worried about, or they're starting off slow and make a comeback. Those teams are, I'm not going to say the Panthers, but they are 0-2. Ravens are 0-2. The Jaguars are 0-2. The Bengals are 0-2. Rams, Broncos, Colts, Titans, and the Giants. So I'm actually kind of curious as to see what you guys think of those 0-2 teams who are should be worried, or they'll figure things out and get things going hopefully in this week 3. For me personally, my secondary team, the Ravens, they started off 0-2, but they do have a tough matchup this week against your guys' Cowboys. So I think they get back on track, but honestly, like it could be an 0-3 week for them. I know the Cowboys want to get back on track, get their get back for this week. So if the Ravens want to avoid an 0-3 start, they're gonna have to really come real hard this week. So we'll see how they do. Rams, I'd love to say that they're not in trouble, but I think Puka Nacua is out for, I think it's at 5 to 7 weeks, and there's no real timetable on Cooper Kupp's ankle injury. So, man, without their two top heavy hitter receivers, I feel like they're in for some trouble, especially with that Cardinals offense looking a little nasty this weekend. I'm not gonna lie. Eagles went to physical selves. Yeah, that was definitely different. That was definitely weird. Ant saw this. Kareem Hunt is back. He has made the Chiefs practice squad, but I imagine he's going to be elevated to the full roster in no time. He knows that offense, and he'll be playing behind a great offensive line. So I think he'll find himself established in that rotation pretty quickly. Pops, I'm glad we see eye to eye on this one. I think the Ravens will be fine. They lost a lot of pieces on the offensive line. So you lose a lot of pieces on the offensive line. You got a rookie on there as well. It's going to take a little while to get back to form. But if anyone can do it, I know, John Harbaugh, he'll be able to get them back into it. Oh, I actually missed this at the beginning of the show. Trevor, I'm sorry if you're watching, but Trevor did win the Pick'em this week. So hats off to our boy Trevor. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you did well, kid. You did well. Trying to think. Let's see. What else we got? We got, again, like you talked about earlier, key injuries. Like you had mentioned, Isaiah Pacheco out for a couple of weeks. For the Rams, you got Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua also out for probably a couple of games, and A.J. Brown with the hamstring injury, so he's looking to miss a couple of games as well. So that's rough. Those are major components on 3. at least two Super Bowl contending teams, right? The Eagles and the Chiefs, Super Bowl teams losing two of their top players, and then the Rams wanting to stay in contention, losing Kupp and Puka is going to be really, really difficult for them to stay in the division race of the NFC West. We got next thing I want to talk about, Tua concussion. Tua received his third concussion in the last 2 years, and this one, like the last two we saw, were very, very scary. One of those things where his entire body locked up again. They're saying that he's going to be out at least 4 games, but I want to hear from you guys. I want to know if you're Tua Tagovailoa's family, what are you telling him? What's the conversation that you're having with him? And if not his family members, because I'm sure his family members are telling him, be done, let's retire, you got some guaranteed money coming your way, whatever the case may be. But if I'm looking at this and I'm the Dolphins organization, I feel like at a certain point you kind of gotta let the guy go. You know what I mean? And I know for my conscience, if I'm the Dolphins, I want nothing to do with that situation. I love Tua. I feel hard. If I'm them, I feel sorry for the guy. I feel horrible for him. But that's, man, like every time he gets hit, and this wasn't even a big hit. He literally just ran into DeMar Hamlin's chest. So it wasn't a big hit. He's the one who put his head down. So I feel like he didn't necessarily get hit that hard and still cause a major neurological concussion. So I feel like, like you said, sit, like Anthony says, sit down with a doctor and get the worst case scenario. But in my opinion, the best case scenario is to think about your life. I don't want to say after football. I mean, your life right now. So, prayers to him. I hope he can figure it out. I know this is the game that he loves, but he's a small guy, man. He's there. Yeah, Pop said it best. You know what I mean? To us, he's just too small. Scary to watch that. Troy was the beast, and he had multiple concussions. Exactly. Tua needs to retire. I completely agree. It's rough. You know what I mean? Like it's a dangerous sport. It's an extremely physical sport, and like as of right now, I think he's probably made enough money to take care of his family as long as they do play things smart and collect those guaranteed checks that he's going to get from the Dolphins regardless. And I don't know, man. I hope he thinks more about life than football. At the end of the day, football is just a game. Steve Young, yeah, exactly. I look at like as a Panther fan, man. I look at a guy like Luke Kuechly. He was a monster. He was an absolute beast, one of the best at his position to ever do it. And he had to call it quits after a very, very short time. And those concussions are scary. You get to a point where it's hard to remember certain things and things of that nature. And he thought about his family, and I think things like that are extremely important. Let's see. Speaking of young, let's get into we'll get into the Panthers and some Panthers and Dallas Cowboy stuff. Panthers news. So Bryce Young has officially been benched by head coach Dave Canales after just recently saying that he's our quarterback and he'll be our quarterback for Week 3 against the Raiders. Want to get your guys' opinions on this? I'm definitely gonna give you mine. You know what I'm saying? I think it's the right decision. I'm extremely happy with Dave Canales making that decision. Even if that decision was made for him, at the end of the day, these coaches have a job to do, and it's a difficult job. I think Bryce was drafted because he's a lovable player. Not a lovable player, I'm sorry, a lovable person. I think he's a great human being, exceptional young man. But I just don't see a scenario where you look at Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, and CJ Stroud, and you think to yourself that he's the guy to pick over these two. He's got the body of a high school kid. You know what I'm saying? Like he literally looks like I did when I was a senior in high school. And he can't see in the pocket. You watch a lot of film from week 2, and he was the least pressured quarterback last week, least pressured, which means he had plenty of time in the pocket to pass the ball. So we're done talking about the offensive line. Our receivers were wide open. I mean, the amount of tape that I could show that our receivers were wide open on so many different plays, because let's be honest, the the Chargers secondary is kind of Swiss cheese. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that he only ended up with 85 yards passing and an interception with plenty of time to throw and wide open wide receivers, I don't think I've ever seen Adam Thielen get frustrated. Like he's a pretty stand-up guy and doesn't really show frustration very often. And he was pretty upset, and he was upset with Bryce. It wasn't just, he said the right things, but you could definitely tell that he was pretty upset with Bryce. And I think with the adjustments we made to the offensive line, getting much better receivers, and in my opinion, a better coaching staff, I would have loved to see this offense or this team in general just be better off this season, and we haven't seen that. So last year, Andy Dalton came in when Bryce sat out one game, and that was our best offensive game for the year. He threw for about 396 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception, and we haven't seen an output like that from Bryce at all. So, man, it sucks. You say he's fine young man, talented, but I'm with you, Pops. He's just not an NFL player to me. And I think as of right now, he needs to change the scenery. And it's going to be really, really tough because I think his trade stock has plummeted. But if I'm the Carolina Panthers, I'm trading him. I'm trying to figure out what we can get from him, probably some picks, maybe a player or two. And then I'm looking at possibly maybe Texas quarterbacks next year. Archie Manning has had a phenomenal kind of week and a half. And I just think that he'll I don't know. I agree with the decision. And I said Panthers and Cowboys news. We'll talk about the Cowboys a little bit. Pops definitely, and Steph definitely want to hear from you guys in regards to the Dallas Cowboys. Rough game. I'm not gonna lie. I thought y'all were gonna roll over the Saints. They beat us last week, but that's not really saying much. So I thought they were gonna get a really, really big test with the Dallas Cowboys this week. And I'm curious to see how you guys are feeling. I think for me, in watching this game, I feel like the Dallas Cowboys are an extremely talented bunch, but I think the recipe for beating them is becoming kind of evident. And, on the offensive side of the ball, let me rephrase that. On the defensive side of the ball, you double team CeeDee Lamb, try to take him out of the game as much as possible. So Dak has to go elsewhere. And I feel like the offensive weapons just maybe aren't there yet. And then from an offensive side of the ball, and if you will, you double team Michael Parsons, and I know he had, I think, only 3 tackles in that game and wasn't able to get a lot of pressure to the quarterback. So I think like those are two heavy things. And when you're playing the Dallas Cowboys, if you can take those 2 guys, those single 2 guys out of the game, it makes them a little easier to beat. And I kind of wanted to get your guys' opinions on how you're feeling about Dallas and when it comes to playing some of the better teams. You know what I mean? Like, dating back to these last couple of seasons, you play a team below 500 and they're blowing them out, but you play those teams that are good or good offense or above 500 and they struggle a little bit. So, Pops, what's the issue in Dallas? Pops, I'm curious. Like, what are you seeing, Pops? Tell me what you're seeing. I want to get your expert opinion on your boys. You obviously watch them more so than I do. So I kind of want to get your take on it. How you feeling? Anthony, Cowboys' issue is run defense. I think it is. I think that is a really big issue. And a lot of times the issue when you have great players who can get to the quarterback fast, they usually do struggle in run defense, right? You get to the quarterback a little too fast, and your running back's already at that second level with the linebacker where the linebacker should be, right? So I agree with that. They're definitely a team that's built to lead, and when they get that lead, they carry on to it, but not so much after the fact. Bob, you said our D got tricked time and time again. You can see him to beat Shanahan style offense and get behind double CB, like you said, right? Exactly. Because we all know when they get behind and they have to pass the ball, they're looking to get the ball to CD. And it almost seems like that's all Dak wants to do. You know what I mean? Is get the ball to Lamb. But I don't know. It's like there's gotta be some happy medium there. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to say their other receivers are washed up, but I do think that they have enough talent to kind of get the job done. Got to look for them though. Last year we lost every game where the other team scored first. Ooh, that's a good stat. That I did not know, which is also kind of scary. You know what I mean? It's like the defense is good. I feel like the defense should be good enough that, whether or not the opposite team scores first, and the offense is good enough to go and get some points on the board, and maybe it's a mental thing, Pops. I wonder if it's a mental thing. They score first, and all of a sudden everyone's hanging their head down, and makes it difficult to get things going. Anthony said Cowboys are built to have the lead and make teams one-dimensional passing, and then they shine in pass defense, rushing the quarterback. And that's kind of where I get back to Micah Parsons. I think when Micah Parsons is getting to the quarterback and forcing that quarterback to throw before he's ready, it helps shine for the DBs. They're there to catch those underthrown balls and you said cause pressure to the quarterback. So I feel like those are the things that they got to capitalize in order to show those strong outings that we're used to seeing. But it's kind of like Pop said, when those teams score first and all of a sudden, they become one-dimensional, right? It makes it difficult for the Dallas Cowboys to win. But I definitely want to see them be able to beat some of these good teams and things of that nature. From a family, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not the biggest Dallas Cowboy fan, but I know I got family in here who are. So, you know what I'm saying? I want to see y'all get that elusive championship y'all been hoping for. Says, I still agree with extending Dak. Don't think he is enough to push the team over the hump. Yeah, that's tricky. I actually agree with you, Unc. I love Dak. I think he's a phenomenal quarterback. He is easily one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I feel like there's something about him, though, that can't do it. Like, it's kind of like that winning mentality or that winning aura. That's something for me that I think eludes Dak. And, he's got the talent to do it. He's got the talent to win games, the talent to win the division, the talent to get into the playoffs. But when it matters the most, I feel like I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I just feel like that when it comes time to win the most, I feel like that's when he kind of falls below the belt. Packers coach said they knew to take the ball in the playoffs, knew if they scored first, it was over. Dang, that's crazy. Sometimes I feel like you gotta so you gotta take that type of stuff personal. You know what I'm saying? Like, the next time they play the Packers, like, I'm going at them so hard. You know what I mean? So, take those things personal. You know what I'm saying? Show some. I know Marcus says it all the time. Like, one of his biggest issues with them boys is like they don't have that player that's just like takes those things personal. Who has that that Kobe mentality, that Jordan mentality, right? And I love to see them get a player to do that for them. And I feel like Micah Parsons can be that guy. Yeah, we got to perform up to our potential. Y'all start performing up to the potential. It's championship or bust. You know what I mean? But that's the biggest issue right now. Cowboys put too much hope into just having a quarterback. They need to improve throughout the roster. They do, but money. You know what I'm saying? Money is a big issue. I think JJ said it best. Is when we pay Dak and we give Dak all this money and make you the most, the highest paid quarterback in the league. It takes money from other places, and we're going to need you to be a number one quarterback, to be the franchise and be that guy. So I agree. You pay CD, you pay Dak, and I know what money they have right now is for Micah Parsons next season, and it's like, all right, you got your quarterback, you got your guy on offense, you got your guy on defense. Now it's up to build throughout the draft and get some veteran presence to fill out that roster who aren't going to cost you a lot of money. All right, man. Let's get into NCAA football over the weekend. I don't have really much to say about college football, but Pops, I want to hear what you guys got to say about Georgia. Man, what a struggle against Kentucky this past weekend. I'm not gonna lie, I thought y'all were gonna lose it. I don't know why. For some reason it seemed like they just could not get their offense going, or at least Kentucky's defense. They had the script, they had the Georgia script. Came down really, really close. I want to see how you're feeling about that. Texas yet again rolled. Their starting quarterback got hurt when Archie Manning came in and reminded everyone that he should be the starter, I guess, for this year. And I'm curious to see how long depending on how long their starting quarterback is out, if Archie Manning takes the reins and continues to be as good as he's been, I don't see them going backwards. I think it's the Archie Manning show going forward. And the kid has looked as advertised. I will say that. He has looked as advertised. Florida State, most definitely on 3 losses. Season is over. The season is over for Florida State. 3 losses. Um, and some of these teams are teams that you definitely shouldn't even be losing to. So even with the expanded playoff this season, I don't see them getting into the playoff, regardless of what happens. Even if some of the SEC teams lose too, it doesn't matter because their strength of schedule is going to be so crazy. They could, some SEC teams might be some of the only teams that could lose 3 games and potentially get into the playoffs, depending on who they beat and who they lost to. Georgia always struggles against Kentucky. Glad we escaped with the win. We had both the ends out. Yeah, I did saw that. Both the ends out, no excuses. Yeah, Pops, it's kind of like OU with Kansas. For whatever reason, they just – or Kansas State, not even Kansas State. For whatever reason, no matter how good OU is every year, they struggle against Kansas, and it is so incredibly frustrating. They should not struggle against a team that's just not that good. Colorado looked better. I was actually happy about Colorado beating down Colorado State. They had a lot to talk about, a lot of things to say, and I was really happy that they got the job done. And then I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Colorado State quarterback at the end of the game went to go shake Shedeur Sanders' hand, and Shedeur wasn't having none of it. I kind of like that. You know what I mean? We can kind of talk about in the sense of gamesmanship and all that fun stuff, but you're gonna talk that much mess about me behind our backs, and when it's time to come, don't shake my hand. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of love that. How good is Cameron Ward? I mean, he's good. He's definitely good. But we'll kind of see how the season pans out. Texas does look pretty good. I actually, as of right now, I think my most excited game that I'm excited for this season is Texas versus Georgia. I think right now both of these teams are definitely 1-2, and I'm excited to see when they play. Missouri had a time at Boston College. It's funny. Boston College had such a good week 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? I guess you would have hoped Missouri would have had a little bit of an easier task against BC, but same thing, Anthony. You boys got through it, and hopefully they kind of bounce back and can come back stronger next week. SEC is dominant as ever. Pops, you ain't never lied. It's going to be so crazy to me, like how many SEC teams are going to make the playoff just because it's expanded, right? I think the college football team playoff is going to have 6-7 teams, at least in the college playoff this year. So it's going to be extremely crazy. I think the championship is definitely coming out of the SEC. Whether it be Georgia, Texas, or another team, I think it's definitely coming out of the SEC for sure. Vanderbilt next. Okay. Yeah, you know what? I think OU smacked Vanderbilt, so I think y'all got it. I think you'll be okay. I don't think Vanderbilt's as strong as they've. I don't want to say as strong as they've been. They've been tough, say 5-6 years ago, but I think they're definitely slowing down a little bit. I say 6 to 8 SEC teams in the playoffs. Pops. I agree with you on that one. I definitely see that happening, and it's going to be fun. I think the playoffs. We're not always so big on some big changes, but I think this expanded playoff is going to be kind of fun. I think it's going to be kind of fun, and it's just going to make recruiting and everything else that much better going forward. How about the Red River shootout? If I believed there was going to be a shootout, I'd say I'm excited. But OU had a great first game against Vanderbilt, struggled heavily in week 2. And they won pretty well in week 3 this past week. So I think they're still kind of finding their sledding. New quarterback this year, who's played well. Week 1, week 3, not so much in week 2. So I think they're still trying to figure some things out. And if they can't figure those things out come Texas time, it's going to be a long day for your boy. That's for sure. But the Red River rivalry is it's easily one of the best in college football. So I do look forward to it, but Texas is definitely the more scary team this year. That's for sure. Those games are usually close. They know each other well. Well, I will say that they know each other well. A lot of great matchups in the playoffs will be different. Yeah, I think that's what's going to be a little more fun to me, right? A lot of these teams might see each other a second time. You know what I mean? And not just say in the SEC championship or the championship games, right? A lot of these teams can see each other again, and that always makes things more difficult, right? We beat them the first time. What changes are we going to make to play them again the second time around? And then, let's just say Georgia and Texas see each other again before the championship in in January, right? You know, one of those teams could take each other out, and that team is out for the remainder of for the playoffs. So, extremely excited for it. Extremely excited for it. I can't wait to see how much more of these things carry on, man. But I know it's only 30 minutes gone by, and I knew it was going to be a little bit of a slack express, as you know we're just getting into football as well as the tail end of the MLB season, and you know we got basketball right around the corner, probably the end of next month. So I think that's going to be all for us today. I appreciate and love every single last one of y'all coming through and hanging out with me, just talking sports. As you know, that's our favorite thing to do here on Slack. And you know what I'm saying? With that being said, you know what I'm saying, I think we can kind of call it on that, and we'll get back to you guys next week with A-Dub coming back and hoping everything's all good with Marcus. And love, appreciate every single last one of y'all, man. But we're going to call it, and it's your boy Strizzy. Peace.
And you say the